Golf Pick'em Expert Picks, brought to you by FootJoy.
Golf Pick'em is back this week in the NBC Sports Predictor app as the PGA Tour returns to Florida for the Valspar Championship. Traditionally in mid-March, now we're moving to the last week of April at Innisbrook, and as you know, it's a familiar drill at this point. Pick your choice of 10 head-to-head matchups. Choose a tournament winner and a winning score. $50,000 jackpot for a perfect score this week. $1,000 in guaranteed prizes, regardless of if there's a perfect score. We're going to start with a very premier matchup, and that's the world number one, Dustin Johnson, against the two-time defending champ, Paul Casey. 2 years ago, the last time the Valspar was played, Casey and DJ were in the final group together on Sunday. It was the Englishman who successfully defended his title. Now they're both back on the Copperhead course. I'm actually going to lean towards Paul Casey in this matchup. Obviously, it's not going out on a huge limb, taking a guy going for 3 wins in a row, but I still think DJ might be in a little bit of a funk. I know he had that T13 at the Heritage. That got things moving in the right direction, but he still doesn't have a top 10 finish since Riviera. Paul Casey, on the other hand, had 6 straight finishes of T12 or better in stroke play events before the Masters. I think that he is a reliable choice in this matchup on this particular golf course. This next matchup could pit two guys who may be teammates in a couple months at the Ryder Cup at Whistling Straits. Justin Thomas and Patrick Reed, along with Dustin Johnson, they're 2 of the top 3 betting favorites this week at Innisbrook, and for good reason. Patrick Reed won earlier this year at Torrey Pines, and he has 2 memorable runner-up finishes at this event. He lost a playoff to Jordan Spieth in 2015 and also finished T2 alongside Tiger Woods a couple years ago behind Paul Casey. Justin Thomas is actually the betting favorite, and he's making his first start here since a missed cut in 2017, but we know what he can do. We just saw it a few weeks ago at TPC Sawgrass. I feel like we haven't heard a lot about Patrick Reed since that win at Torrey, but the record is still pretty good. He has been inside the top 25 in 3 of his last 4 stroke play starts. I'm actually going to side with him in a bit of an upset over Justin Thomas. Reed knows this course. He likes it. He comes back year after year for a reason. I think he's going to get the edge in this All-American matchup. 2 major champions looking for a bit of momentum outside Tampa. We're talking about Justin Rose and Phil Mickelson. Lefty was a late commit to the Valspar field. He entered on Friday, and he's making his first appearance at the Copperhead course since all the way back in 2004. He's looking to stop a lengthy slide. Hasn't been inside the top 10 since the WGC in Memphis back in July. He's now well outside the top 100 in the world ranking. So he's looking for something. I'm not sure he's going to find it this week on a tight tree-lined course that tends to favor ball strikers. But speaking of ball strikers, how about Justin Rose? He came out of nowhere. What back injury? He was just fine at the Masters, and he played pretty well last week at the Zurich alongside Henrik Stenson. I love the Englishman's record at the Valspar. 10 prior trips, 9 finishes inside the top 30, including a tie for 5th a couple years ago in his most recent appearance. I think Justin Rose could be a sneaky sleeper pick this week to win, and I definitely like him over Phil Mickelson in this matchup. What might have been for the 2 South Africans at the Zurich Classic. Louis Oosthuizen and Charles Schwartzel came so close to that breakthrough team victory, but Oosthuizen's drive went a little awry in the playoff, and that was all she wrote. Now the 2 teammates are going to square off in this matchup as we head to the Valspar, and they're 2 guys who have had some success at Innisbrook before. Schwartzel won this event back in 2016. That remains his only other PGA Tour victory outside of that Masters win a decade ago. Oosthuizen, on the other hand, tied for 2nd the last time he was here back in 2019 and has finished T16 or better in each of his last 3 trips to Palm Harbor. I'm going to side with Oosthuizen. He's a more consistent player right now. We're starting to see signs of a turnaround from Charles Schwartzel, but still not quite enough for me to buy in. Oosthuizen, he's a known commodity, and he really plays well on this course. That loss is going to sting from the playoff, especially since it was his drive that did them in, but I think he's going to get the better of his countrymen this week in Tampa. All right, so those are my picks for the marquee head-to-head matchups. But, of course, in the Predictor app, in the Golf Pick'em game, you need a winner. And I'm going to go a little off the board here. I'm going to take Jason Kokrak, a runner-up 2 years ago, just like Louis Oosthuizen. But I think that Kokrak could definitely break through this week. He has 4 top 15 finishes in his last 6 starts at the Valspar. He's playing well, got that breakthrough win earlier this season at the CJ Cup, and has had a huge turnaround on the greens. He's now one of the leaders on the PGA Tour in strokes gained putting to go along with a really strong game off the tee. So I think Kokrak is the guy to go this week in Innisbrook. But remember, make your picks. 10 head-to-head matchups, pick a tournament winner and a winning score, $50,000 jackpot up for grabs for a perfect score. $1,000 in guaranteed prizes, even if there's no perfect score on the board. NBC Sports Predictor app, check it out, and we'll see you next week.